Yes.
But
You know
we
who
have an
didn't
opportunity
seem
to
fucked up?
rebound. Who?
Al Franken.
I know. Al Franken's just a butt grabber. All
And
things
not
considered.
not
Yeah.
even. Did you read the last,
Yeah.
the straw that broke the camel's back? The last one where they all said enough is enough. It was in the Atlantic. This woman, she asked for a photo. He put his arm around. His hand was on her waist.
And he squirrels her fat.
He squeezed her. She said he grabbed a handful of flesh, which is a weird thing to say, but he squeezed her at least twice. Is her quote, at least twice. He had his hand on her waist. And she said, I don't even let my husband touch me that way in public because it demeans me as a professional woman.
Oh,
Are you
God.
fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd like to interview her husband. Like, you're not allowed to put your arm around your wife in public, dude.
And squeeze her.
I mean, my wife would love to be squeezed. The more the merrier.
The idea of it is very strange because that one doesn't make sense. The Leanne Tweeden one was the only one that made sense. There's a photo of him.
Yeah.
She's unconscious. It's demeaning. I get the whole thing. He apologized for that, and rightly so. And apparently he tried to kiss her. But then the butt grabbing is like, well, you definitely shouldn't be grabbing people's butts. But I mean, how much of a big deal is it?
Well, and also, have we stopped? I mean, Chelsea Handler was on Bill Maher the other night, and she said, I have to believe these women because I'm a woman. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Does that mean I have to believe all men because I'm a man? Isn't there any discussion about whether these things are true or not?
Anthony Acumia said this best. He said, he put it on Twitter. He goes, saying all women are liars is just as crazy as saying all women tell the truth.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think a lot, Franken, I don't know enough about Franken, but a lot of these people, it's like Weinstein, wasn't like 40 people or something like that? Like 40?
At least.
I think when it starts getting up in the...
And also what he's accused of is...
It's a different thing.
Totally
We're not talking
different.
about taking pictures with people where they like you, they want to take a picture with you, and you grab their waist. We're talking about, I mean, he's been accused of rape by more than one woman, like actual rape, not just like getting someone drunk and having sex with them, but like holding them down type rape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of crazy. See, here's what's kind of fucked. If prostitution was legal, would that exist, or is it a power thing? Is it always a power thing? Like, does he want to like have sex with the star of his films? Because
I think it's more a question of if there weren't so many teenage boys who never got laid, what would the society look like? And by this, I don't mean to excuse anyone, and I don't mean to say teenage girls should be more promiscuous or anything.
You're just looking at it objectively.
I'm saying that guys like Harvey Weinstein, that dude didn't get laid in high school.
Right.
Most of you look at these mass shootings, a lot of these guys in their suicide notes say, I'm doing this because I can't get laid. I'm going to die a virgin. That's how one begins, actually. There's a massive amount of frustration that builds up because biologically, most boys are horny little monsters at 13 or 14. They're not getting laid.
But
Very
wait,
rare.
But hold on, let me go with this, please.
Sorry.
And so it gets to the point, so there may be 5-6 years between when a boy is totally obsessed with not just sex, but with being acceptable to women, being loved by women, being touched, being caressed, and they can't think about anything else, and they're not getting it. And so I think a lot of boys grow up with extreme frustration that either curdles into misogyny, where you get these like mass killers who do they kill? Hookers, right? Sexually liberated, free women in their perspective. And you get guys that just chase money their whole lives because they think the money and the power is going to get them those women. And so when they get to that place and they're still fucking disgusting, and they sense that the women don't even want to fuck them, or they only fuck them because they're going to get something from them, then there's all this self-hatred and shame. I think that's what's being expressed here. So I think it is power, and I do think that it's an expression or a manifestation of a deeply sex-negative pathological culture.
But conversely, how do you feel about like women that weren't attractive in high school? How come they don't lash out in the same way? And they're not out there raping dudes.
Well, one, because
gunning them down.
Women are much better at accepting their sexual situation. You see women have accepted a lot of shit that men aren't able to accept for, millennia. That's partly biological and probably partly cultural. But also because, women can have sex even women who aren't particularly attractive, because the whole market is so skewed in the other direction. Even women who aren't particularly attractive probably don't have much trouble getting laid in high school.
But I don't think it's just that. I think you're boiling it down to getting laid. That's a reductionist thing. I think
Sure.
it's just way
That's
more
why I say
emotions,
touch and
especially with
bonding.
women, though. But if
Yeah.
an unattractive woman who has a hard time finding a boyfriend, someone who loves her, someone who wants to be emotionally connected to
Yeah.
her, that probably is just as
Sure.
painful to a woman as a guy who can't find, maybe more painful
Yeah.
than a guy who can't find sex partners.
In psychology, they say that men express these feelings through anger, and
Right.
women through depression and
Right.
sadness.
Right.
So you probably don't see women lashing out and killing a bunch of dudes. You see them being depressed and feeling like shit.
And when you do, they have high testosterone. That's why.
Oh, but
High test women.
Another point to be made here is that, like, people do say the thing, oh, well, like people like Harvey Weinstein, they wanted all this money to get laid. But I do not think that's it. I think what people like Harvey Weinstein probably enjoy is power. It's not like, oh, I want to get fucking laid. I'm going to become this mass. It's like, I like to dominate. I'm a dominating force. That's what I am. I enjoy like having people around me who worship me. And as part of that, I'm going to dominate my interns. I'm going to dominate my employees. And when I'm around women, I'm going to fucking jerk off in house plants in front. I mean, it's like really
Fuck the ficus.
But you gotta really think about that. It's like I know what you're saying. Oh, poor Harvey Weinstein when he was fucking in front of the goddamn.
That's not what he's saying.
Well, the thing of he's not getting touched enough.
Well, no, but it's
Well,
like
we're all-
there's a lot of frustration that's inherently connected to this suppressive sexual culture that we find ourselves embroiled in, that we don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
Most
why
people
are
don't
priests
act that
fucking
way.
little boys? Why are,
Right.
because one, that's the only access they have. Two, they're less likely to tell on them. And three, there's self-hatred.
I just
Yeah, and it's probably recidivism.
I like to do a little thought experiment, which is I like to imagine where my head's got to be if I jerk off into a house plant in front of somebody. If you've tried that, just think about it. Like, what's going on with you?
Christmas tree.
Yeah, it might be like you're just celebrating.
It's like New Year's Eve. Okay,
Isn't
holiday.
that what
He's
you
just
do under
super green.
mistletoe?
He doesn't
Am I
want to clean up.
misunderstanding?
And if you jerk off in the plant's going to absorb it, and he's just leaving his DNA all over the place.
It's probably good for the plant, too.
I bet it is.
It's terrible for plants.
Not my jizz.
Fucking Weinstein jizz.
My jizz is great for plants, bro.
Fucking plant. I wonder where that plant is.
That plant's alive. It's running for Senate.
Alpha Cum. Coming soon from onit.com. Joe Cum. Yeah, you could probably sell your cum, right?
I don't want anybody having my cum. But don't you think that it's
Freeze-dried.
all these things? I think it's certainly the sex is. It's not just a power thing, because he's not just exercising power. He's exercising power in a sexual way.
Yeah.
It's not just power. I think it's the game, like we were talking about, like corporations and even police officers and guys like Jeff Sessions who have the game to arrest people. That is the game they play. They get really good at it.
Right.
That's what the game is. The game with a guy like him is, I can't believe I get to fuck. What's her name? Name famous actress. And that famous actress is on her stomach and you're mouth fucking her. Like, whoa, really? Is this
Yeah.
really happening? And why is it really happening? It's happening because you're going to let her be Catwoman or whatever the fuck the movie is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some nuttiness to it. There's some craziness. There's some forbidden thing to it. There's a bunch of things in play. Power's one of the dynamics. It's just the most foul one.
Yeah.
Like all the other ones, like the sexual frustration and
Yeah.
stuff, doesn't seem so gross. It's like when you're imposing your will on someone, then it's unquestionably it's an expression of power. Like once you are raping, once you're coercing, once you're imposing your will, and you're saying, I'm going to take away your career if you don't let me have sexual intercourse with you. Well, then it's 100% power thing.
Yeah.
But like, how did it get there? There's a lot of things, and I think you've
Yeah.
got a lot of
And does
factors.
power... I mean, I guess I haven't exercised sufficient power in my life to know the answer to this question, but does dominance feel good directly, or is it something that comes to you indirectly? So, in other words, does it feel good to dominate someone else, or only because then you can get something that you want from them?
I think it's something that you want from them, and I think there's I think human beings are connected to each other in an undeniable way. And I think that if you're exercising power over someone, like say if you, I hate to paint the scenario, but just say if you raped someone, you were sexually attracted to someone, you're alone with you and you raped them. And if you have any conscience at all, if you know, they're screaming no and you're still having sex with them and you come and then afterward you have to think about it, like you would be horrified at yourself. Like
Right.
the level of self-hatred would be almost unimaginable that you've imposed yourself and your twisted sickness. And in the heart of that moment, you know, the power dynamic, trying to impose the power, it can't possibly feel good. I think it's just a thing. I think it's just almost like a creepy leftover reptilian instinct that creatures have. Because if you look at rape in nature, and this is not to exonerate rapists, this is not to normalize rape, but it's insanely common in the animal kingdom, right? It's in common in ducks. It's in common in all sorts of different animals. So
Orangutans.
Dolphins.
Yeah, orangutans, ruthless, right?
And it's tough because there are a lot of primatologists are women, and they learned the hard way, from what I've heard, that you always wear jeans if you're working with orangutans.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Orangutans.
Oh, my God.
That's awful.
But this thing, we're supposed to be evolved past that. And for the most part, by far and above, we are, right? If you think about all these sexual harassment interactions, now imagine if they were chimps. You know, I mean, imagine if they were orangutans. The rape is the common thing. You could never have a bunch of orangutans in some sort of a building. And people would go, well, of course, we're better than orangutans. We are. That's why we don't rape as much.
But it is problematic to use the word rape when you're talking about animals, because part of it is the way you described it, that there's the knowledge on some level that this female is totally not into what's happening right now. Whereas presumably an orangutan doesn't have that knowledge. And also there are animals where the female is triggered to ovulate by aggressive male behavior that we might call raping.
Right.
Like rabbits, you bite the back of their neck and that's what makes the female ovulate.
Well, there's a lot of weird stuff when it comes to women's what is sexually attractive to certain women and what arouses them.
Rape fantasies is the number one.
Yeah. A lot of women like to be choked. You know, like what's happening there? Like why do you like to be choked? Why do you like to get your arms pinned behind your back? And why do you like to fight back? Like you actually like it? You want me to do that? You want me to hold both your wrists? Okay, you're sure. Like, there's a lot of tying up going on out there.
Really?
A lot of people are. Yeah,
really.
Duncan's like,
Duncan says, really?
This is crazy.
Like, this is all very, very strange
dungeon
stuff.
in your apartment.
Yeah,
too.
but here's the thing: when it comes to like S&M or bondage, I think one of the big misconceptions when it comes to that is that if you're being tied up or if you're tying somebody up, that there's like anger happening in that situation.
Right.
It's one of the most sweet, loving, trusting things that you can do.
Yeah.
It's really like, I don't
Respectful, he's like selling it.
It is.
No, it is.
No, I spent a lot of time in dungeons, actually.
It's funny, you're in my thought. No, back up. You're not in my thoughts at all.